Think of the last game that you played. When you first launched the game, did it just throw you into the action? Probably not. So when these important game events happen, they're called a game moment. And we need to communicate them to the player somehow. So when you first start the game, you know when the game has started and you control that. If you're like me, when you fail miserably, the game also communicates that to you through a game over screen or you have died of dysentery type screen. And we need to communicate these game moments to the player, so let's do that. So get those three. We can close this window now. And each one of these I'm going to make them non-solid because I don't need things bouncing off of them. It doesn't really matter where you put them as long as they're off the screen is all that's really important. Turn that solid off and we'll position him here. I like being able to see my little arrow there. Turn that solid off. Very good. Now, when should this first card jump in? Well, this is one of those game moments where when you first start a game, as a player, you kind of expect to have a chance to get ready before you actually start the game. That's a critical game moment that is just accepted in game design. You don't throw them right into the action generally. So that game moment should take place right when the game starts. So let's go add a new event for that. And I'm going to call this game start. I'm going to put a -1 on there so I know that's where the first card goes. Let me collapse that and bring it back. There we go. When, and this would be a system event for when it should do this, when system runtime scene start, that's when I want that first card to jump to the middle. Card first, position, set position, in the middle of the screen is 0, 0. It's right at the middle of the X and Y axis. So at scene start, jump that thing to the middle. Let's go see if that actually works. Hey, it jumped into the middle. Now in Unity, if I set this card's coordinates to 0, 0, just like Ready, right in the middle. Looks pretty good. We got asteroids and saves coming at us. We're going to have to fix that, aren't we? Let's get our cards jumping in and out first, then we'll make sure that spawner cannot clone until we tell it to. So we're going to add another event so that when this one's in the middle, how do we get that one out of the way and let the next one come in? Well, when they touch on it, right? Think of it from the player's perspective. You would expect that when I hit that menu button, it's going to do something. So let's add a new event. Game instructions 2. And when should that happen? Well, when they touch on the first one, right? So we're going to say when that card first is sensing touchdown, touchdown. That is, they clicked on it or they hit it with their finger if they're doing it on a phone. When that is touched, then two things need to happen. We got to get the first card out of the way and to get the second card up in the middle. So we want the first card position, set position. Hey, look, it picked up its old position values, which is off the screen, so that's perfect. So when you touch down on that one, get it out of the way. And hit the plus sign. And I want to get card's second position, set position to the middle. Excellent. Now, when should the game actually start? Well, that's when they click on that card. So I'm actually going to add one more event. I'll call this Game Begin. You can call it what you like. When should that begin? Well, when the second card senses it's being touched down or clicked on, then we can get this card out of the way. So position, set, And there's the old value off the screen. Good. Let's test that out real quick. We hit play. We can click on that one and the second one shows up. We still have these guys coming in. We don't want that. And when I click on that, hey, I'm ready to go. But as you saw, the problem is the asteroids and the saves are coming down before we're really ready for them. So what we want to do is we want to tell that cloner, hold up, just like a light switch. When the game starts, we want that cloner off, doing nothing. When they finally click on that start button, then the cloner should be on. So imagine this is a light switch being in the 0 position, which means off, and this would be the 1 position, which means on. If you don't believe me, look at the power switch on your monitor or on your computer. It's a 0 with a 1 on top of it. 1 and 0. 1 is on, 0 is off. You went and looked, didn't you? It's pretty cool. Fun fact. So, what are we going to use to control that 1 and the 0? Well, our good friend, the arrow. I'm going to click on the arrow, and we're giving this arrow a lot of jobs, which is fine. He likes it. I'm going to add a behavior to him, clear out my search here, and the counter here, because I can give it a value. Remember, 1 is on, 0 is off. And I'm going to call the name of this counter Boolean, which is a programming term that is just this. A Boolean is something that can be off or on. That's it. It can't be 3 or 4 or 5. It just 0 or 1. That's it. So Boolean is the name of our counter. The value is 0. Perfect. And we're going to say, all right, cloner, you're not allowed to clone until that Boolean is on, a 1. So remember back here we just said, hey, when, let's look at our clone asteroids, just start and do this every 3.1 seconds or so. We're going to add another requirement, because not only does it have to wait for every 3 seconds, and it has to exist longer than 1 second, and 1/3 requirement is what? Remember this? We need that Boolean to be on before it's allowed to clone. So I'm going to say the arrow Boolean must be equal to 1. Now it has 3 new requirements. 3 requirements to be able to actually clone things. Same for the saves, right? So I can collapse the clone asteroids and look at the clone saves and say you're not allowed to clone saves until these 2 things and the arrow Boolean is equal to 1, right? So let's review. We have this arrow. It's got this counter on it, and it's set to 0. And the cloner up here, he's just waiting around, just hanging out until it sees, oh, it's on, now I can clone. But we don't have anything turning it on yet. When should that Boolean go from here, 0, to here, 1? When the player's ready to play. How do we know the player's ready to play? Well, they clicked on the start menu. That's where we need to turn that on. So let's go look in there. Collapse that one for now. The game begin that activates that cloning thing. Well, this gets the card out of the way, but we should also say, all right, cloner, the Boolean is on. So when the player touches down on that start, we get the card out of the way, and we also say, all right, arrow, your Boolean, we're going to set the value to 1. Confirm. Now, let's go test this out. Let's hit play. I'm waiting. I don't see any asteroids or saves. That means the cloner is in fact waiting. So I click on this, still waiting. Click on it again. Boom, it's ready to go. Hey, works pretty good. Now I know that was several steps there, but it's important because you've got to give your player a chance to get ready. Have fun.